What is up, you beautiful gamers? Welcome back to role-playing games. Video games evolve, dude. They develop specific fan bases that follow their games based on what they wear when they play them. Resident Evil is one of those most beloved franchises in gaming history, and one that has evolved for the good or for bad for some people's tastes. Let's see in what direction the Village headed. Remember to like the video, really helps me, and subscribe if you don't like it, because why the hell not? That being said, let's talk about graphics first. Graphically speaking, Village is a weird game. It's a mix of, dude, look at how damn beautiful the game looks, and dude, this is fucking horrible. And that's mostly because of the decision of making the game to be a first-person game. Now, there's a whole lot of opinions on people that like it or not. Now, I'm not here to force my opinion onto you, but gameplay-wise, I enjoy the first person and the versatility the combat offers, but more on that later. The thing is that what the third person camera does in games is that it allows the developers to be more open, to be resourceful and add low quality stuff here and there that won't actually be that much noticeable due to the camera being away from it. In a first person shooter, the low quality stuff might actually pass undetected because you're frenetically fighting around the levels. In Village, you're not. You're exploring, dude, paying attention, looking under the corners of those precious resources, and you have the beautiful, the middling, and the ugliness right in front of you. There's tons and tons of low quality textures, especially on the corpses, models, and environmental assets. You find those dozens throughout the game. Low quality fire effects, meshes popping out of the 3D models, as well as low detail foliage that in some cases is animated in the laziest and weirdest way possible. Not always though. When you see the game as just the overall package is not that much noticeable, but when you're in there, in the fray, exploring, looking in the corners with that first person camera, that's when you notice, and it can actually take away the immersion you have. Although, illumination, art direction, draw distance, fog handle, that's what makes Village shine. Insanely good detailed main character models, everyone has their charm and charisma. The world while you explore is beautifully illuminated. Think like the Van Helsing movie, there's this grey and dull dreariness of the village that is washed by orange light sources that add the saturation of color to give this amazing contrast. When you're in the castle, for example, the reflection on the details of the walls gives such a tremendous overhaul on how realistic the game can look at times. Also, the diversity of places you visit throughout the course of the game, damn amazing. You never feel tired, there's always something new to be looking at, and that's nothing but praisable. There's the castle, forest, creepy yet beautiful manors, factories, mines. There's always something new to look at, as well as something new to look forward that always keeps you wondering what you're gonna see next. Let's move on to South.
Right in here like it's nothing and expect to be all safe? There is no safe! Every sorry bastard out there has been ripped in half. But tomorrow? Tomorrow we'll all be dead. Just like her damn husband. Put a sock in it, Roxana!
That's enough! This house has protected my family for generations.
The overall sound presentation of the game is divided in soundtrack in some dramatic cutscenes, combat, and connecting places. The soundtrack of the game is of course guided by the predominance on string and wind instruments, those focused on the ones that classically are more associated to that of the tradition of the vampire, since that's the main appeal of the game. Yet, the higher predominance for sound build is ambient sounds. Growls, creatures stalking you in the shadows while you're indoors. They leverage the specific environmental sounds of where you are right now. Clocks ticking in the castle, drops of water splashing on the mine, wind howling on the windows. The idea is to build tension, and of course the footsteps of those that are hunting you in the corridors and the rooms beside yours. There's poor handle on the 3D sounds though. While you're not using a headset, yet why would you not be using a headset by playing a horror game? There's not any kind of meticulousness on the sound building. Also, for example, a gunshot has the same reverb indoors where the sound immediately comes back to you from the wall than that of the outside shot where the reverb should be more pronounced because the sound has to travel farther before actually bouncing off to you. On voice acting, that's a huge missed opportunity. The voice acting is actually quite marvelous, it's beautiful, and there's charm on the characters, but they're all unimmersive as hell. They all sound like North Americans. The Romanian village, filled with perfectly native speakers of American English. There's not any effort in trying to emulate any kind of accent, something that has always been present in the previous entries of the franchise like Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6, so in that scenario, this is a downgrade. This is a downgrade on the voice acting. Also, in the classical tradition, one of the most exploited assets in the figure of the vampire is that European refined accent of the educated figure of the monster that the monster gives. Lady Dimitrescu is lacking in that field. Now onto narrative. Like I said, the appeal is actually obvious. The main appeal in the story here is leveraging the vampire classical Romanian folklore, as well as the lycanthropism. Resident Evil appropriates of it by using their all-time banner biological weapons, where the main setting is just a coverage for the main core of the previously mentioned biological weapon experimenting. Mia and Ethan married, had a daughter. Mia is killed by Chris and Ethan's daughter taken away from him. That's when you travel to the village in search for your daughter. The narrative is a whole lot more grim now, even more mature than before, yet there's another big huge downside here as well. Through the course of the story, Ethan gets beaten up like you have no idea, dude. His arm is chopped up in an occasion and he puts it back like nothing happened. The idea of Ethan in Resident Evil 7 was to have a main character that's unexperienced, in difference of the previous entries where you're in the field of military experts, and in that sense of not being one of those anymore, make the player feel more vulnerable. In Resident Evil Village, Ethan is a damn superhero who doesn't care about the hordes of enemies assaulting you. You're no longer outnumbered because you're a badass, invincible and immortal motherfucker that glues his arm back to himself and bullies the bosses he's fighting against, and I mean that. He bullies them, he's mean to them, and they're scared of him. That takes away the immersion of a horror game would try to make you feel, which is tied up to the gameplay. Let's talk about gameplay. First-person survival horror, Village is a blend between the previous more action-oriented Resident Evil 4 and 5 and Resident Evil 7. Some of the beloved mechanics, previous mechanics, are back. You explore the world and obtain more weapons that you can actually upgrade. There's a lot of combat, but there's other ideas as well. Depending on the location you're visiting, that's how your gameplay experience will be. There are action-oriented fighting focus areas, and there are others where you don't actually use your weapons that much or even not use them at all. Instead, you're just exploring, trying to solve some puzzles that are actually quite simple, yet they do require a little bit of paying attention to the thing. The formula is a whole bunch back to its core though. Remember that first area with hordes of enemies Resident Evil 4 and 5 offered to you with a huge ass mini-boss that you don't necessarily need to kill, but you can if you want to? That's back. It's a little bit harder to pull off this time around because you're not offered that much resources at the beginning of the game. That's not a mechanic that I personally love. Upgrade my shit, get more resources and come back to play it again. There's tactical play if you want to do so again. In Resident Evil 4 we would knock enemies to finish them off, hurt them with the knife. Be more mindful of our resources in that scenario. That can be done in here as well. And I would even say that the first person camera makes it even more responsive, but that's just me, dude. However, like I said before, you're no longer outnumbered here. You have a bunch of huge array of different weapons to fight off against the enemies. You have enough resources to fight off whatever comes your way. The classical handgun is back, shotgun, sniper rifle, revolver, grenade launcher, take your pick, all of those are here, and for some there are variations of the weapons. You can also attach mods to them that give them some traits to specific weapon, making you like more than the other. Exploration is of high reward and a little bit better handled than how they did in the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes. In those games, red maps would tell you that you're still missing something and give you the exact location of the object that you are missing. Here you also have the red and blue indicators on your map, but not on the item icons on the map. You have to search them for yourself. There's a lot of backtracking as well to get items you weren't able to get before. In that sense, giving more longevity to the main playthrough that should take you like 9 or so hours to complete. Alright, like always, I break down the game as best as I can to you without adding my bias or my personal opinion, and if I add my personal opinion, I call it out, so you can have your very own judgment on whether do you like what you see, and you can spend your monies, your greenies, your monedas, your lease on the game or not, and then add my personal opinion, my personal recommendation at the end of the video. Graphically speaking, it's a nice game, but it's not yet that next generational title you would want to have already in your consoles. Gameplay wise is damn fun, with a whole bunch of versatility on how you play the game on different areas and level. You're never given the time to get bored, and also there's a whole bunch of replayability value in case you want to give it another playthrough to keep upgrading your weapons, something really welcome that had been taken away from us in the most recent entries of the franchise. It's a fun game, dude. It's not scary, but it's Resident Evil. A lot of it feels Resident Evil, and we love it for it. I say this is a buy, really damn near close to waiting for a buy, waiting for a sale. If you want to experience it just for the main campaign, it'll take you like 9 hours of a game that is not of the highest possible quality you can be offered right now in this generation, but you're gonna squeeze a whole bunch of your time in a game that is versatile enough for you not to get bored. That being said, remember to like the video and subscribe for more content. I know this is not an RPG, but I'm a sucker for horror games. That being said, I'll see you beautiful, damn sexy ass gorgeous beautiful gamers in the next one. Stay safe, stay awesome, stay beautiful, and I'll see you later.